everyone, my name is Luca and I am an AI experimenter, and today I'm going to show you how to build a inbound lead capture automation in 15 to 20 minutes. So firstly, you see on my screen there's a bunch of stuff going on, and this is using an application called Zapier and a specific feature within Zapier called Canvas. Think of Canvas as, if you know Figma, it's a sort of visualization tool for the flow of how this specific automation is going to go. So the specific automation we're going to build is based on inbound. So basically, as you can see here, our inbound lead qualification starts off with this Google Forms, which is going to be this form, the CRM system interest form. And then from the client filling out, or the prospect from filling out this form, then we're going to use the power of AI and ChatGPT to then classify, is this lead a high level, medium level, or low level prospect? And then from there, it's going to then use all the information from these two parts, the first two steps of the automation, to then create a new row in our Google Sheet, which is here. From there, using the interest level that ChatGPT determines, there'll be three different pathways that we can go, or that's automation will go. If it's a high interest, firstly, the automation would automatically guide the prospect's information into HubSpot, so all the information will be added to this HubSpot contact page. So you can see here where Library David is, there will be an additional contact. And then from there, we will send an email with a meeting request for the prospect. If it's medium interest, then the team is going to be notified on Slack about the prospects coming in, and it will kind of look similar to something like this. New medium interest lead, the name, the email, and then basically telling whichever team it is, automation, consulting, AI agents, to then send a personalized follow-up message with this lead in the next few days. Because as you know, we're very busy. We're a very busy team, so they can't be doing everything all at once. So if it's medium interest, there's no need to respond immediately, but within the next few days though. And then finally, then if it's low interest, we're going to send an email with just some additional resource they could use to up their AI game, but we're also telling them simultaneously, we cannot help you because we have too much demand. So that being said, let's build this automation. So within our automation, we're going to be using something called Zaps. This is the main feature of the Zapier application. And think of Zapier as an automation application, but for beginners. So for those of you who want to get into automation but are too scared to actually start, don't worry, it's not that hard. Start with Zapier. Zapier makes it super easy. It has 7,000 different apps, and I think you'll really enjoy it. So firstly, that being said, let's start building this automation. So with Zapier, we could first, if we were trying to put in the Google Forms as our trigger, we go to the trigger button. In this case, we already have the trigger, but just to show you, there's a bunch of different apps you can choose for trigger, and we're going to pick Google Forms. And our trigger event from Google Forms is when a prospect sends us a new form response. That's when the trigger starts. So we will click new form response. We're going to configure. This is called the Zapier CRM interest form. And is that the title of this? Yes, it is. So we're going to go back. We're going to test it out. And as you can see here, we just have a simple Joe Doe. But we're actually going to really test this out. So in order to do that, we actually have to fill out the form. So let's follow me, and we're going to fill this out. So email. Then we're going to pick AI consulting. Lead source, since this is going to be posted on YouTube and LinkedIn, we're going to put social media. Our budget is $1,000, and description client needs is So we're going to submit this. So these are submitted. And now what we're going to do is find new records. So we're going to let that load. Form response B. So sometimes it might be a little bit of a delay, but if you clicking this, within like 10 to 30 seconds, the new form should come in. So we're going to continue with the selected record because this is the form we just submitted. But due to the fact it's the automation, once you actually publish this Zap, then it will just completely automate this whole process. So you don't have to come here and then click the specific form. But for the context of this, of actually building out the automation and testing it out, we have to do this. So continue selected record. Did we test out? Yeah, we got the test. Okay, now the action. So before that trigger, think about like a firework that is being lit off. So the trigger is us lighting up the firework, and now all these corresponding actions are the firework actually like going in the air and exploding. So next, what we're gonna do based off the flow chart we saw earlier is we're now gonna go to ChatGPT. We're then going to classify the text, and that's because we're going to have 3 different categories that we're going to classify, which is high, medium, and low interest. So classify. We're going to select the account, which should be this one. Okay. And then the text to be classified is very important. So we're going to put the description of the client needs and also the budget. Yeah. So categories are going to be high interest, medium interest, and low interest. Okay. And then for the model, for this type of task, you don't really need an LRM, which is a large reasoning model. So think of that as like O3, Gemini 2.5 Pro. And that's because those models, it takes a second to think, but it gives you much more thought out response. But with those models, it also costs way more money. So as a developer and as someone that builds the automations, it's going to cost us so much more money. So all you really need for this are the LLMs, so like GPT 4.0, now more recently 4.1, Gemini 2.0 Flash. But even then, if we're trying to save as much money as possible and we really don't need like the larger models, let's just stick with the minis because these literally cost cents on the dollar. So GPT 4.0 mini is useful. And then for tokens, we don't really need that many tokens. And basically, the more tokens you output or the LM outputs in its response, the more money it's going to cost us. So we actually want to reduce this as much as possible unless absolutely necessary. So for us, we can just put like 500. So like even half the 1,000 recommended. So let's click continue. Let's test a step. Forgot something. Let's go back. This is not that big of a deal, but what we need to do now is we're going to actually reconnect this, and I'll show you why in 2 seconds. So reconnect. So as you can see here, there's something called the API key. So we actually need to go back into ChatGPT, and not ChatGPT the app, but ChatGPT or OpenAI's API platform. So this is more so for developers. So if you actually want to build automations or apps, you always need something called an API key. The API key is called an application processing interface. And think about this as an app talking to another app. We don't really see this or we don't really think about it, but it happens in our day-to-day lives. But as a developer, we want these apps to talk to each other. So for this case, we want OpenAI's or ChatGPT's LLMs to talk to Zapier. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to go to the platform, OpenAI. We're going to go to the dashboard, and then from there, click API keys. And then from there, we're going to click create new secret key. So we're going to call this inbound sales funnel. And then if you have multiple projects, you can pick the project. For us, we only have a default one, so we're going to click that, create new secret key, and then we're going to copy the key. And again, if you're actually using this for ongoing automations or for app development, do not share this with anyone outside of your company. You should keep this in a secure placed. I'm only showing this because the second this video gets released, I'm deleting this and no one can really use this. Because if nefarious actors end up getting your API key, it's going to cost you a lot of money if they keep running these automations or or they just use it for bad purposes. Because every single API call, which is basically every time the API key gets initiated, it costs money. So in this case, keep it a secret place most of the time, but for now it's all good. So what we're going to do now is click copy, and we're going to go back here. We're going to go to connect the account. Put my API key here. Hopefully you can see this. Continue to ChatGPT. Okay, there we go. If you didn't see that, I basically Zapier had a pop-up window up here that had a request for the API key, so I just copy and paste that in, go back, and click continue. Now we're going to test a step. It worked. So based off the information I gave it, which is the description client needs and the budget, it categorizes high interest because I said that I'm willing to spend the highest amount, which is $1,000, and I need help ASAP. So it classified that as high interest based off that information. But what we're going to do next is then we're going to update or create a new spreadsheet row in Google Sheets. You can do this in Excel too, but in this case, I'm going to use Google Sheets. I'm then going to then find the create new spreadsheet row, which is here. I have my account connected. And then from here, I'm going to pick the specific spreadsheet, and that is Zapier CRM Sheets, as you can see here. And then for context, the bottom is CRM System Canvas. So let's go back to Zapier. Zapier CRM Sheets, and then System Canvas. I had two before, but since I showed you it was Canvas, we're going to click Canvas. And then from there, see all the information popped up, and it's different on the Zapier CRM app. So it's very important you pick the right sheet. And from there, in order for the information to go to the right column, what we're going to do is this plus button is absolutely magical. So we're going to do this for every single one of the columns. But we're going to input the information from the Google Sheet into the Google Sheet, from the Zapier form or Google form into the Zapier or Google Sheet. So that being said, we're going to put first name. We're just going to do mix and match, or just last name, company name. So all this information is going to be Google Sheets or Google Forms, except one exception, which we'll see very soon. Email. Service interest. Here. Lead source. Social media. Budget. And then description of client needs, the last one. Okay. Interest classification is going to be different because, as you saw in the previous step, you had ChatGPT classify if it's a low, medium, or high interest. So we're then going to pick the category because that's the interest level. That's going to be very, very important, as you'll see. So high interest. And then we're going to test this out. We're going to test the step. Okay, let's go back here. And it worked. It got fully updated. So then we're going to go back. And now we're going to add the next step, which is the paths. And this is what we saw earlier here. So before I go there, see how we did all these three steps before? See this here? This is when the path split. So interest classification. So as we get into high, medium, and low interest. So now we're going to create these three different paths and three different sub automations or apps. So we go back to paths, and then we're going to add another path. And we're going to start off with one. So for the first one, we're going to go here. So only continue if the category, because remember the interest classification is when the path split. So depending on if it's high, medium, or low interest, that's where these paths diverge. So we need to put this as the field, and then we're going to put contains, and then for text and data, I'm just going to write high interest for the first one. And to save time, I'm just literally just going to copy this, paste to replace, paste to replace, and then make just the little edits of changing this from high to medium. And then we're going to do the same thing here, medium to low. And then just so you guys can visualize this better, I'm going to rename this as well. So high interest, rename, copy that, and then rename again, medium interest, low interest. Okay. And then before we proceed to these different actions, I'm then going to just continue just to get that little green check mark for each of these. It's really satisfying seeing these exclamation points or crosses turn into green check marks. Kind of means what we're doing is right. So we're going to click continue. Okay, now we got those satisfying green check marks. So now we're going to go back here, and then we're going to look at, okay, what do we need to do is for each different classification? So we're going to start from high to low. So for the high, we're going to add a contact to HubSpot, and we're going to send a meeting request. So let's go back to Zap, and our action based on high interest is HubSpot. We're then going to create a contact. We already have our account linked. And then we're going to now go to HubSpot, and we're going to mix and match. So I have all these different categories: name, first name, last name, company name, email, service interest. See all this? And then we don't need to put the interest level because we know that only high interest clients are actually added into our CRM software. So we don't even need to worry about that. But let's go back to HubSpot, and then we're going to basically put all the necessary information. So first name, similar to what we did for the Google Sheets. We're then going to mix and match. So first name, we're going to find that here. Last name. Company name. Service interest. Lead source. And then description, client needs. So this is all the information our sales reps are going to see on the back end. So to help them prep for the meeting. And then from there, we're going to continue. And just like all the other actions, we're going to test this out. So let's see if it works. Okay, it should work. So now let's go back into HubSpot. Okay, so let's reload this page. There we go. It worked. So before, as I don't know if you remembered, but Larry Dave was the only contact. Now, but I did notice something though. The email is not added. I forgot to add that. So let's go back. No worries. For the context, so I will delete this so you can get it. So delete. Okay, let's go back here. Let's go to configure email. Okay. Continue. Now I'm going to retest a step. Okay, should work. So let's go back to HubSpot, and let's see it updated with the email. There we go, got the email. Cool. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to send the email. So Gmail, and this is based off the flow we did. So send meeting request, action, send email. account, just connected here, configure. So we're going to send it to the contact or the email we have in the Google Sheet. So email from this account, subject, book your free. Let's capitalize it so they really see the word free. People love it when it's free. So book your free consultation. Okay, so now let's personalize this email. So dear, let's do this. Dear Burger. Okay, now go up here real quick. There we go. So I have this email, and then I'm going to make it a little more personalized. So thank you for expressing interest in partnering with our blank team. And this is useful when we have like multiple branches in our company. So in this case, AI consulting. If someone else fills it out and says we want to work with our automation team, it'll automatically update that and it won't be consulting. So I then have a Calendly link here, which we'll see in a second. It'll work. And then I'm going to go here, make sure this email looks sparkly. It does. Continue. Now we're going to test a step. So this is for a high interest client. So let's go back here. Let's reload. Book your free consultation today. Okay, let's book it. Let's book it out of 5 a.m. because that's when most people have meetings. Okay. And then let's schedule the event. And let's see if it works. It should work in 1 second. So there we go. Now we have a Calendly link with the meeting. Perfect. So that is our high interest. Now let's go into low interest or medium interest. So medium interest is we notify the team on Slack and we provide inbound status updates. So let's copy this real quick. Okay, so let's test this out. So now we're going to go to Slack. And for our case, we're going to send a channel message. There's all these different options, but for us, we're going to pick a specific channel. So then we're going to send a specific channel message. We're going to pick the channel, pick this one. It could be any different one. This is the case for this demo, and the message text and input it here. So I'm going to make this automated. There we go. So put again, to make the automation personalized, we're now going to go here to new form response. We go down to first name, last name, put a space in between. So when it appears on Slack, there'll also be a space in between. Email, this is the email, service interest, this, and it'll update depending. So then I'll change this to, then I can put a space here, or then I'll put this at AI consulting team. Please send a personalized follow-up. Okay, should be all good. Then we're gonna test the step. Okay, now let's go back to Slack, see if it works. Look at that. Look at new meme interest lead, my name, the email, AI consulting, and then depending if we have multiple teams, at AI consulting team, please send this message. Okay, and then now as part of our next level of the automation, we're now going to provide an inbound prospect status update to the prospect. So we're going to go back here. We're going to add an email. So Gmail again, or in the context of saving time, we're going to duplicate it. No, we're going to delete that. What I meant to do was copy it, and we're going to go here, and then we're going to paste to replace. Obviously, we're going to configure it. So this stays the same, from is the same, and then the subject's going to be different. So thank you for your interest is going to be the new subject line. And then I'm going to do here is then get my template for the medium interest. So let's just copy that real quick. There we go. Put that in here. So dear, we're going to use this plus sign again. So dear, put a space there. Look at burger. Thank you for your interest in working with our AI consulting team. Again, that plus is very, very clutch. They'll reach out to you in the next couple of days, schedule a meeting. It kind of follows what I send to Slack. Please send a personalized follow-up message with this lead in the next 3 days. So kind of reiterating that in the email to the customer. But granted, this is a medium interest lead. We don't need to book a call with them right now. And our sales reps could focus on their other tasks in the meantime. But eventually they have to do this. So just giving them a buffer for a few days. Click continue. We're going to test a step. Perfect. So now let's go back to this email. Let's see. The ready's in our inbox. Look at this. Seems like it's very, very personalized. They don't know it's completely automated. And yeah, so perfect. Now let's go back here. We're going to do the low interest one now. So now this is just the simplest one. We're going to send additional resources to the client on Gmail. So we're going to go back here. Similar to what we did before, we're going to just paste to replace, and then we're just going to modify it. So I'm going to go here. The to is still the same. The from is the same. And then the subject is update on your interest. Okay, so now I'm going to input my template here. So here we go. I'm going to modify it. So dear, go back to the plus, go to Google Forms, here, and then put this, AI consulting team, put a space there. And then I provide a link with just a couple of resources they could use to improve their AI literacy. And these sources, I'll show you in a second, are very, very high level sources. And I would recommend anyone who's actually serious in learning more about the AI space to check these resources out. And as YouTubers specifically, who will see in 1 second. So before I get there, I'm going to test a step. Should work. I'm going to go back to our inbox. And then this is the low interest email. So then I said, we can't work with you, whatever. And then I provide some resources. If they want to learn how to vibe code or learn AI agents, I provide those free of charge, no research needed. And I watch this lady, Tina Huang, a lot. I'd highly, highly recommend her. And she's been a big part of my journey. And yeah, so with that being said, look at this whole automation we just built based off the canvas I showed you earlier. And it took maybe like 20, 30 minutes, but it's going to save you so much time and make you so much more valuable to your employer. Because the more time you can save, the more money you guys keep and your company keeps, and the more time you can focus on more high level tasks. So the ability to source automations will make you invaluable to your company. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching this little AI automation tutorial. Hopefully this wasn't a little too intimidating. I think it's relatively pretty simple. And I'm a vibe coder / AI experimenter. So yeah, thank you so much and have a great rest of your day. Bye.